Hello, everybody. You're very welcome back to this very special edition of the Cult of Cantona podcast here at Druids Glen. We're really excited to be in the company of somebody that made my Saturday afternoons a lot more interesting as a teenager growing up here in Dublin. Lee Sharpe, Mr. Lee Sharpe. How are you doing?
I'm very well. How are you?
Thanks a million for coming in. How did you get on today? Were you?
I was bang average.
Did
today,
you lost your bollocks?
Well, yeah, it's like my fourth game of golf in 4 days. After a few beers as well back in England. I live in Spain now, and I was over in England for a few days and played some golf over there. Met up with some friends, had a few drinks. So I felt the pain of it today.
You're carrying it today?
Yeah, a little bit.
You're carrying the.
But what a course! What a course!
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Oh, like it's got to be one of my top three I've ever played. Yeah.
How do you condense such an interesting, brilliant career into a couple of minutes chatting to somebody? So I'll just ask the obvious question. We're in the ladies' dressing room today. Have you ever been here before?
I can't say as I have, no.
And I suppose I'll just get back to, I know that you did a podcast with Under the Kosh guys recently, and you went into so much detail about the past and your relationship with Fergie and the good times and the bad times. But how do you feel about Man United Irish fans, or football fans in general from Ireland? Have you had good experiences here?
Yeah, I think Ireland's always been warm towards us. I think whenever we come over to Ireland, I think we always get a warm reception. It's always crazy. People are really pleased to see us. We sort of get looked after very well. I love the place. I love the attitude of the Irish, and the hospitality of the Irish, and I love coming here.
Yeah. What was? Have you any highlights from any of your teammates over the years that are Irish? And when I say any of them, I mean Roy Keane. What? Like, I know you said in the other show that he's just the funniest, nicest bloke. But how many times have you put him in a taxi and sent him home?
A few times. No, I mean not too many times, but once or twice in certain situations. I've certainly looked after him off the field from time to time. But then on the field, he's looked after me probably twice as many times. So I think it's only fair that in return I look after him when he's in a little bit of trouble.
How good was he?
He was different class, and I think Roy improved a lot while he was at the club. I think he was an unbelievable. I think from what I gather, I don't know. I was a reasonably young lad when Roy. We were the same age. I was reasonably young when he came. So there were obviously senior players at the club that had closer relationships with the manager. And I think at the time the manager said, "Right, who do we sign next season?" And all of them agreed and said Roy Keane. So they went out and got Roy, who came in and I think at first got put as a right back because I'm not sure if he was struggling with a hernia or something, but
because it's easier at right back.
It's a little bit easier. And it's a little bit easier to come and realise the size of the club and the expectancy of the club and what's expected of it. It's totally different from any other club that you'll go to. So I think there's a little bit of that about it. We also had Paul Ince and Brian Robson in the team, who were formidable characters. And I think Roy improved as a player. I think he was incredible when he first came. He was box to box. He was full of energy, scored goals, and then became this sitting, holding, dominant midfielder that ran games and ran the pace of games and dictated games, and looked after his teammates and became a true leader. And I think he was an incredible player. And as far as I was concerned, was a really funny and enjoyable bloke to be around.
What was it like being part of a team, particularly like from say 1991 on, where so many like the team had like 6 captains, you know? What was it like? Like, you must have obviously brought the levity to all that. Were you you were the one that would let a bit of steam off in the dressing room? Because you need that, don't you? You need that balance of serious characters and messers. You know?
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily like be the life and soul of the dressing room by any stretch of the imagination. You know, for me, while I was at United, I was always deemed as a bit of a young lad. Yeah. I think the thing about the dressing room was it was just so aggressive and had so many winners. Like you say, there were so many people that could have been captains, but there's only one person gets to wear the armband. I think, you know, right down the spine of the team, I think the manager had got it so right. It was so aggressive. It was so dominant of people that just wanted to win, and they would step over their own grandmother to win a football match. And I suppose sort of myself, Giggsy, Kanchelskis, were a little bit of. We weren't aggressive. We were the sort of quick, creative. Let's create a chance, and we got looked after unbelievably on the pitch by everyone that was, such winners.
Yeah. I'm going to talk to you about two highlights from my own childhood watching you. Was that game against Barcelona where you ran the match? What was it like to play and that cheeky back heel thing, in Old Trafford? What was it like to play against Barcelona and stuff them, particularly at a point where United were only on the ascendancy back in Europe again after the Cup Winners' Cup in '91, but in the European Cup at the time, or the early stages of the Champions League? What was that like? Was that a career highlight? What kind of form were you in on the run up to that? Was that 94, 95?
It was 94, I think it was. My memory's not the greatest when it comes to years and times and teams. But yeah, I think it was about 90. It might have been the 94-95 season maybe, but 94. I don't think. I think I'd been out a little while with injury because I played the first leg, and like I said, I had quite a good game. Scored one of my favourite goals, and then the week because the second leg was like I don't know, it was a week after or 2 weeks. I think it might have been 2 weeks after. I can't remember, but I went to Newcastle and ended up fracturing my ankle in a game and missed the return leg at the Bernabeu. So